My biggest takeaway that I've had in time in Costa Rica is that the depth of the initiatives that people can take on for themselves, from the starting point to someone who's maybe been doing this for 20 years, it's never ending. There's always something you can do more of, or something you can get more dialed in or more specific on. And that's really exciting because, well, it's two things. It can either be kind of scary, but it can also be really exciting because it's not just a one and done. Like, I just got to do these basic things and I need to do that forever, and that's all I can do. You can essentially graduate to like the next level and the next level and the next level, and there's no end to that. I know we've shared in many of the talks that we're all learning and we all need to get the studies, and we still don't know many things. And that's great because that continues our education. It continues our hunt to find what the next elements of longevity are and how we can implement them.
I think we are at the moment at a tipping point. That makes me a little bit emotional too, because I worked 20 years, more than 20 years in the lab doing lots of research. And a year ago, I founded a private practice to really bring health and longevity medicine into clinical practice. And now I see there is so much involvement of the media, there is so much excitement, there is so much consumer-driven aspects. Consumers want us to speak up, that we can really change healthcare.
My biggest takeaway from this series is that there are so many different things you can do to improve your health, but the most important thing is to take the first step, and that you are responsible for your own health.
Kevin and Sharon, you've shared a lot about your journey so far, in particular it being shaped by what's happened in that initial work with the Cenogenics experience. You've mentioned some really cool tests you've done, some of those baseline blood markers, and you've really started to nail many of those basics of health span. Well done, first off. And you need to be supported in that journey, and that's exactly the role that Rafid plays every day. And I want him to guide you a little bit on thinking about what's coming up next. Talk about those basics you've nailed, what's coming up next. And I want to hear back from you guys to him a little bit about those goals that you have personally that are driving you. So Rafid, take it from here.
So guys, first of all, so great to spend this time together. We've digested so much information, not to mention all the stuff that we've done prior to this. And now comes the fun part, right? Now we start to incorporate all that into the plan that we're going to make together. Right, this is what we talk about when we say shared decision making. It's not us telling you what to do, it's us deciding together what is our path and what are our goals. Right? So the next steps from here are going to be partially dictated by those goals. Right? What are the things that you want to do, and how best can we help you to achieve them? Right? So I'd love to hear from you guys what those goals are.
Basically, whatever I want to keep active all my life, and ever since, probably since I turned 60, I was riding 60 miles on my 60th birthday. It was up in Iowa, but it was February 21st, and it was a warm day that day. And I go, what an achievement. So then I thought, when I turned 61, I want to ride 61 miles. But in Iowa, you couldn't do that outside with a bike. So we went down to Florida. So it's 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, whatever. And February's coming up, and I want to go 67, and I want to keep on achieving that as long as I possibly can, because it's a great feeling. You're outdoors, you're in life, you're living it. And that's what I want to achieve.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Sharon?
It's a fun day. For myself, I'm excited about growing older. A lot of people are scared of it, but I'm excited because I want to live long to see my grandchildren, because I don't have any yet. We're waiting. And I want to continue being active with Kevin and just doing the things we can now that we're retired, traveling, and I love running. So this summer we're going to the national park at Rocky Mountain, and I'm going to be climbing mountains again, and that's what I want to continue to do. I want to do the rim to rim of the Grand Canyon, and you have to be strong for that. You have to be healthy and have endurance, and that's my goals.
I love to hear the why about the grandkids, about sucking the marrow out of life, and climbing
Yeah.
mountains, going rim to rim. These are amazing achievements and goals, and super excited to hear those and be a part of that, a footnote in that journey to help you guys get there. Again, I think we've learned from this whole experience that there is no silver bullet. There is no one size fits all. We've had healthy discussions about the meat consumption and given some of the labs. And that to me demonstrates that we're going to have this dynamic process, right? And I hope you see that.
Yes.
So there is nothing about this will be static, right? We have a baseline labs, and now we've done these interventions on lifestyle, nutrition. We're tinkering with supplements. You're not going to be on something forever. We're going to always kind of be responsive to what your body's telling you, right? And we're going to be responsive to what our biomarkers are showing us on the inside, right?
Yes.
And so that's what that journey is going to look like for us moving forward. So the next step for us is at every regular cadence, usually about every 3 months, if not a little more or less, depending on what's going on, we'll go ahead and get some repeat labs and we'll evaluate. What does that look like in comparison to what everything you've done, all the hard work that you've put in on the lifestyle components, and all that we're doing on the pharmacotherapies as well as the supplements? How is that manifesting in your biologic age? How is that manifesting in how you feel, and your kidney function, and your heart function, and your metabolism, all across the board,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's going to be the next step. So the one hallmark of our approach is nothing is static. You're going to have a lot of dynamic changes, and we'll probably pick up some of these same conversations again, and we're going to get there again together, right? That's the whole
Yes.
premise of shared decision making.
Yes.
Right?
And Rafid, building on that, I hear these beautiful goals and a sense of purpose. Again, it's been thematic. We're wrapping this all up with that longevity mindset. And you're sitting here speaking to Kevin and Sharon, but you're also speaking to an audience of many people just like them. Can you talk about the importance of having goals like they do and that sense of purpose?
If we look at some of the commonalities of the blue zones, we see things like there's a greater sense of purpose. There's something that's above us all, whatever that is, right? That helps kind of give you more meaning, right? And that meaning, that why that you answered for my grandkids, for my own sense of internal fulfillment. Without that motivation, it's very tough to influence behavior change. It's very, very tough, right? So having that introspection, looking internally and saying, what is my why? Why am I doing this? That's going to be probably the single most important thing is cultivating that mindset and really being reflective on what's driving you, right? And it's so important for not just for you, but for all of us, for everyone at home watching this, to take that moment just to stop for a second and reflect. Why am I trying to do this? What's the value for me? Where am I driving here? Because with that North Star, that helps guide you towards your goals and to help you achieve them. And there's going to be moments when it's not easy, right? There's moments when
Absolutely.
there's moments when it's
Changing
Sharon
that
already knew.
whole, people, I hear them say, I can't. And they have to change, we all have to change and say, I can.
Yep.
How many times did you hear me say,
Everybody.
just going on camera was scary, and I'm like, we can do this, we can do this.
Yeah.
And anybody can do it. It might be harder for some, but they can. Just mindset, I can do this.
That's a brilliant place to wrap this up, is whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that's mindset.
Yeah.
And you've driven the point home there for the audience who are listening, that it is about that mindset. It is about
Correct.
believing you can. And at times you're going to feel like you can't. That's where purpose gets us over the line. Thank you guys for really enlightening discussion. We are all very excited to see you guys go to those next steps, see the follow-up, and we're all cheering for you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. I think my biggest takeaway from this experience for myself, I've already kind of cued in on my nutrition and my exercise, but now it's about optimization, optimizing my hormones, optimizing my supplements. And the people they have here, I've just learned so much about testing for what I need to optimize. So it's not just a crapshoot, and learning that I need to increase my vitamin D or things like that. The testing is just really important, and I think everyone can do it. It's not that expensive.
I would say my time here has been, I'm blown away by all the information that we have from all of these experts. And I hope that when I go back home 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, that I appreciate the greatness that was here for all the information, the scientists, the social aspect of it, everything right together for one goal to achieve longevity, whatever. It's just blowing me away. It's awesome.
We've had some really enlightening discussions about longevity, and in that we've focused a lot on lifestyle, and in particular, health span. And the discussion around health spans really come down to optimizing or getting the baseline set for our diet, our exercise, our sleep, and our stress levels. And our guests here have done a lot of that work already and also followed that up with some baseline blood tests, and through that begun to add some supplements. And that's what we're here to talk about now, supplementation, how it can support longevity. And I like to tell everyone that who wants to reach for a supplement first, they got to go back and do what I just said. Now, you guys have done that. And in fact, through your initial blood work and collaboration with Cenegenics, you've even started with some of those basic supplements, which remind me again, I believe you were on vitamin D, omega-3, B vitamins,
and probiotics.
Probiotics.
And then we have both started hormone replacement therapy.
and the hormone replacement therapy. So again, foundational level
Yes.
ingredients at that supplementation level. And Alan, in terms of the mission of extending healthy lifespan for as many people as possible, many of those are part of your product lineup.
That's correct, yeah. So we have the sort of basics like your creatines, omega-3s, vitamin D with K and magnesium because they're all important together. But we also have some of the more advanced stuff as well. There's some of the more powerful stuff, if you will, like the SIRT6 activators and the NMNs.
Well, we can go there actually because I tell people who get excited about that stuff to get the basics right.
Yep.
Our guests have done that. Many people at home will have done that or are on their way now that they're listening to us.
Yep.
You pull out some of the fancier, we'll call it, longevity supplements that have some of that early promising research.
Sure
Name a
thing.
few of those for us, Alan.
So I think SIRT6 activator is the most important one. That's the most popular one we see for DoNotAge.org. Activating your sirtuin 6 has these massive impacts on your inflammatory markers. Decreasing inflammation is very important. And I'm sure Nathan's going to talk about that shortly as well. And yeah, I mean, one of the things is we don't want to flood people with too much information and get them confused. So what we've done at DoNotAge.org is we have a starter pack, which is a 6-month supply of all the sort of necessary essentials, the most popular ingredients we have. So that's an easy way for people to get to grips with it.
Alan, thanks for mentioning those. And of course, people are going to get excited hearing
Yep.
about that, assuming they've nailed some of those basics. They're going to want to start with one. Can you give them a little bit of guidance on how they might know which one to go with first?
Yeah, it all depends on the individual and what their goals are. So that's why we created the starter pack. So that one that covers all the essentials. And then what people tend to do is after a few months, then they start to nail down, oh, I want to have more of this one. I might want to add this one. And that's when the supplementation gets really personalized. And of course, they can ask us for personalized guidance as well.
All right, I've shared a few examples how I've gone down that journey myself with AKG, testing my biological age before and after.
Yep.
And another one I was just dropping into this morning with a bit of experimental biohacking fun was nitric oxide. You gave me a lozenge. Felt like my brain turned on, Nathan.
That's
Tell
right.
us, what's going on with nitric oxide?
Well, it's an important signaling molecule in the body of humans. The older we get, the less we make, and that's what's responsible for age-related disease.
I've been in academia for more than 20 years, and my work has revolved around nitric oxide production in the human body. What we've realized is that nitric oxide is really the key to longevity. It controls all aspects of aging and wellness. It controls the lengths of our telomeres, it controls mitochondrial function, and it controls the mobilization of our own stem cells and how we heal and repair. So your body cannot and will not heal without nitric oxide, and that's what we're finding through scientific research, that it's the loss of nitric oxide that leads to aging and really age-related chronic disease.
So we published a paper in 2007 showing for the first time that nitric oxide is a hormone. And similar to you guys, if you're deficient in a hormone, what do? You do hormone replacement. The challenge in the nitric oxide field is it's a gas. And once it's produced, it's gone in less than a second. So how do we deliver a bioactive gas in a solid dose form? And that's what we've done. As you guys know, the supplement space is the wild, wild west. Right? There's so many supplements out there, be it N&M or vitamin D, fish oils. But what's the quality? The nitric oxide space is the same. There's hundreds of companies out there selling hundreds of products. 99.9% of the products don't work. So what we do is we actually make nitric oxide gas. If your body can't make it, our product technology does it for you. But more importantly, we fix the reason your body can't make it. We restore the oral microbiome, we recouple the enzyme in the lining of the blood vessels. So now we're improving your body's ability to make it. And that's the difference with what we do through our companies and anybody else. And so we use the rigor of, I'm trained as a drug discovery chemist. So we use the rigor of drug discovery, understand what goes wrong in the human body, understand the mechanism of disease that we can fix it, and provide rational therapies, rational product technology. So as we talked about earlier, nitric oxide is foundational. It gets to the root cause of every single age-related chronic disease. It improves circulation, it reduces inflammation, oxidative stress, and immune dysfunction. Those are the hallmarks of every disease, whether it's Alzheimer's, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or autoimmunity. So this single molecule that we can reproduce and recapitulate its signaling in the human body gets to the root cause of chronic disease. So that's the start. But if you're deficient in vitamin D or fish oils or other hormones, nitric oxide is not going to fix that. So now we leave it to integrating all these different modalities, start with the basics, and then start doing personalized medicine, implementing these things that each individual may need. Because we're all different, right?
We are all different. That's been another theme here, the personalization. You guys have certainly seen that. And as we close, one thing that I wanted to mention that's very important about nitric oxide is that actually, I think you mentioned 200 million Americans are interrupting their nitric oxide pathway with mouthwash. The mouth biome is really important for that first step in metabolizing it. Taking proton pump inhibitors, lowering stomach acid interrupts the second part. So many people are actually deficient in this pathway to produce it.
Well, we like to we understand how nitric oxide is produced in the body. So I think what we have to do and inform is, I tell people, stop doing the things that disrupt nitric oxide production and then start doing the things that promote it, right? Because in that model, you really don't need supplementation. So here's what we got to do. You got to stop using mouthwash. 200 million Americans wake up every day and use mouthwash. There's 200 million Americans have an unsafe elevation in blood pressure. And it's causal, it's not coincidental. Mouthwash kills the oral microbiome that's responsible for producing nitric oxide. Your blood pressure goes up and you lose the protective benefits of exercise. So that's one. You have to get rid of fluoride. Fluoride's a neurotoxin, it's an antiseptic, and it kills your thyroid function. So if you stop using mouthwash, get rid of fluoride in your toothpaste, and then proton pump inhibitors, these antacids that 200 million Americans are using every day. The data are clear now. People who have been on PPIs for 3 to 5 years have a 40% higher incidence of heart attack, stroke, and Alzheimer's. Mechanistically, these drugs are completely shutting down nitric oxide production. So if you just do those three things, get rid of mouthwash, eliminate fluoride, and stop using antacids, now your body's primed to make nitric oxide. So then we can do moderate physical exercise, can stimulate and activate nitric oxide production. A balanced diet in moderation, throw in some more green leafy vegetables. Sunlight, there's certain wavelengths of light that will activate nitric oxide production. And now we're giving the body what it needs. We're stopped doing the things that are inhibiting the body's production of nitric oxide. Now the body's primed. And then when that doesn't work or all else fails, then we have product technology that does it for you.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Alan, for helping us foray into the world of some of the more exciting supplements that are coming down the pipeline to support our longevity. Got to nail those basics. Supplements, it is a bit of the wild, wild west. That's why we've chosen very carefully partners we can trust. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining our discussion.
Thank
you.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
My biggest takeaway from days I've spent here in Costa Rica are just surrounding myself with like-minded people and just sharing all of the ideas, making the connections, which will last for a long time, for a lifetime even. So, I kind of went out of my bubble to connect with other people, and lots of good things happen from that.
So I have two takeaways. One is on the kind of industry side. I think there is a lot that we still don't agree on and don't know, and a lot of work to be done, both scientifically and putting things in practice to see what actually works, and also acknowledging that not the same things won't work for everyone, so finding this personalized approach. And that, the second one would be this figuring out why why you want to live, what you want to do with your life, and how important this is in you making the right steps in a longevity journey. I think that's something we always come back to, but seeing it through the stories of Sharon and Kevin just shows how powerful that is. That you really need this why, and you need all of these components in your life, like a strong relationship, family, that are key to you actually wanting to continue that.
So, Nicolina, we recently revealed biological age based on glycans for Sharon and Kevin. And this is what we typically do on a regular basis in glycan age, but the responses we get are quite different. What I really like about them is that they faced with this baseline condition, which was not ideal, but they didn't shy away from it. They took it as a sign to improve even more, and with the help of all of these experts, they are able to do that. And what was also very interesting is that we managed to find some of the signs that relate the glycan pattern with a disease risk. Particularly in Sharon's case, we saw a correlation with the glycans and development of rheumatoid arthritis, which kind of connects with her family history. And this is something that we want to further develop in glycanate. So can we talk more about what we can actually do in the future with these kind of correlations?
So we started with biological age because it was a simple measure that we can quickly give access to people and to clinicians. But actually, specifically rheumatoid arthritis, there's research on it for the last 40 years in glycobiology of it being predictive of the disease. So what we actually see is that the glycan pattern can change 10 years before you develop rheumatoid and you get the first symptoms. So it's something that can really give us this early warning. There's a lot of work on different conditions. A few months ago, we published a review paper that looked at all of the different diseases that are connected to what we measure in the glycan age test, and we identified 72. So now, not in every case can we predict it, or we don't have the data for it, but in many cases, particularly on cardiometabolic diseases, these patterns change a decade in advance. And we know that these are changeable with interventions. And one big focus of our research lasts about 7 years were intervention studies, starting with lifestyle. So what we know now is that these patterns that would predict hypertension would respond to physical activity, and the pattern that would predict insulin resistance would respond to weight loss and caloric restriction. So we can start to specifically tell somebody that they have a potential risk in the future, but also that there are steps they can do now, which are in a way very simple, but hopefully activate them at the right time, and then we can tell them how they're doing. As they implement it.
So we can really use this to personalize the approach. So knowing this, we can focus on mitigating the risks in the joints for Sharon, for example, but also a lot of people can use these insights to personalize their own experience and try to find the right triggers and the right areas to look at. Would you kind of connect it to what other people can do, not just Sharon and Kevin?
Yes, I think the big problem as a consumer is that there's all of this generic health advice, and you don't really know how this applies to you, or it kind of sounds too simple. Well, when you can get more and more specific and connect something to their family history and give them a warning before it's an actual issue and giving them a very specific intervention, even if it's a simple intervention, it kind of creates this motivation that keeps them going and helps them do this in a timely manner. So this isn't the direction we want to go in, and it's technology that's already available. We're taking it step by step commercially, but scientifically we were doing this for 20 years already. So our lab was started in 2006, and we've looked at cardiometabolic disease for over a decade. So this is research that's been developed for a long time that now we're step by step implementing into products that individuals can use and physicians can use to guide their patients.
Great. So now is the right time to kind of put this science out there and make use of it and help a lot of people optimize their healthy lifespan.
Yes, and I think where it really has an impact is when we can bring it to traditional healthcare, when we can change healthcare in a way that they're not waiting for a diagnosis or for a disease to happen, but they actually start to track you while you're healthy and look after your health before you get to disease. And I think that will be the true version of healthcare that we don't yet have, because we don't have the biomarkers for it, we don't have the knowledge on how to prevent all of these different conditions. For some we do, cardiometabolic we do, but even the implementation of that is very slow in healthcare, and it could be moving a lot quicker. So we're hoping that we can change the way healthcare is done.
Oh wow,
in
that's
the
very
next
powerful.
few decades.
Yeah, that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing this.
You know, we don't need to master every little detail about these very nuanced, supplementation regimens or very highly specialized nutritional approaches. The biggest takeaway for me is that 90% of what we're doing here in the longevity and healthy aging and performance medicine space is really internal, right? It's behavior change, it's commitment, it's understanding your motivations, right? And it's being consistent across all these approaches. So that to me, the attainability has probably been the biggest takeaway, because I think some people, they get this this paradox of choice that hits them when they say, okay, which supplement should I take? And they go into the store and they see shelves and shelves and shelves of different supplements. And say, you know what, I'm not gonna buy any supplements. I don't know what's right. I'm not gonna do any of this, right? And they change their approach entirely, they give up. And that's a mistake. The mistake is that, we don't need those things. That's actually like step 8 or 9, right? The first thing you start with is this internal commitment to yourself, which is very attainable, right? And then making those immediate small changes. You don't have to make an overnight dramatic change in your life to see dramatic improvement. You can make 1 or 2 small changes and do them consistently, and you will see consistent gains.
The evidence in the scientific literature, what's been proven through the basic science and proven in clinical medicine, we can now share with the rest of the world. And it's known that it takes on average about 17 years for new discoveries to become standard of care or bring awareness around to the consumer market. So we're there. As basic scientists, we're told to remain silent on any discoveries until we publish it or until we submit patents. But today in this project, we can really start to educate the world, the billions of people around the world, on not just the importance of nitric oxide, but these other modalities that have been shown to extend life, improve health span, improve quality of life, and prevent disease.
Well, everyone, we've nearly reached the end of our time here in Costa Rica, gathering together to talk about the future of longevity. And I think one of the key takeaways from all of the discussion so far is that longevity as a future isn't something that's far off. It's actually in the here and now. And we really know a lot about living a longer, healthy life right now. And you have all shared from your perspectives some of those key messages about how we know that and how to do it. And that's where we're going to wrap up. We're going to go, and each of you, and I want to hear one key takeaway message for the folks at home about longevity that proves that it's in the here and now, something that they can take away and implement in their life tomorrow, not in the future, not in 10 years, right now. Rudy, you're first.
First one. All right. There's so many things that you can do, and there's so many degrees of which you can do it. So what I commonly recommend for everyone to get started is to identify what small steps are sustainable and that you're ready to complete. Because if you try to bite off more than you can chew, it's not going to be worth it in the long run. So for many people, focusing on the protein intake and fiber intake nutritionally is one of the easiest kind of statements I'll make for most individuals. Also for exercise, identifying an honest identification of what you're doing right now and how you can tack on maybe an extra 5%, whether it be through intensity or volume or distance, whatever that work is. That's going to be where I commonly recommend someone to just push themselves a little bit more. It doesn't need to be perfect, it doesn't need to be extreme, but just enough to not be spinning your wheels. Gain some traction, overcome that initial inertia in the smallest way possible, and try to focus on improving that over time, whether it be every week or every month or every quarter. As long as you're focusing on progression over time in one way, shape, or form, that's going to be the most impactful for you.
Right, and I think a nice follow-up to that, Rafi, would be to comment back to your partner here at Cenegenics. Add on to that. What would you focus in on and build on from what Rudy just said?
So everything he said was correct. I would stack on that maybe a little bit further and just say, really, to me, the most important thing is, and this is incorporated in there, is the autonomy of it, right? And to encourage, we talk a lot about mindset, but this mindset of empowerment and autonomy, there are many levers we can pull. You just cited a couple around the nutritional aspects. There's several more around, psychosocial. And there's more around lifestyle and exercise that we can also pull. But the take-home message for me that I hope that Kevin and Sharon take, and anyone who's watching takes home as well, is that this is all attainable. This is all doable if you choose. And if you commit your mind to this lifestyle and this approach, this idea, this dream of longevity is not a dream. It's a reality, right? So I think this, the everything you said is a part of that picture. And so I obviously fully agree there. But I think just taking a step up, it's about the empowerment of the individual, right? And we have great examples here with Kevin and Sharon who are walking the walk right now.
Thank you for that, Rafid. And it really sounds, again, building in the direction of behavior change, working with people to change their lifestyle. Paula, I think we should hear from you to add on to that next.
Thank you. Yeah, I always kind of say that the first step that you can do is put yourself in a position of a curious, objective observer of your life just for a little while. And I kind of started with that. But I think one other important aspect is knowing your why. So there is lots that you can do on how to achieve longevity, healthy longevity, but the answer to the question of why you are actually doing is one of the first steps that you can actually define. So what are your overall goals? Why are you actually doing all of these things? Is it because you have great grandchildren that you want to, transfer some messages to them, learn them lots of things? Is it because you have lots more to say in your career? Is it because you want to have the most beautiful flowers in your garden? What is actually driving you to achieve this healthy longevity? I think this is also very, very much important for people to define and start their journey with.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for that, Paula. And I also would like to then hear from yourself, Nathan, because you're making a living in creating meaningful, powerful tools for people in their longevity, particularly for cardiovascular disease. What's the takeaway here for you?
Well, the takeaway here for me is that, there's no silver bullet, right? There's no end-all, be-all, cure-all. You have to integrate all these modalities that we've learned about, get that information out there, and then, empower people to take control of their own health. What I've been doing for the past 25 years focuses on strictly nitric oxide production. And what the science has told us is that your body cannot and will not heal without nitric oxide. So today we understand how the human body makes nitric oxide. We understand what goes wrong in people that can't make it, and we know how to fix that. So I think what we believe, what the science tells us, is that nitric oxide is foundational. Because if you want to start an exercise regimen or you want to take nutritional supplements, if you have compromised circulation, you can take these supplements, but if you can't deliver it to the individual organs, tissues, and cells of the body because of compromised circulation, then the goods are never going to get to where they need to be. So when we start with nitric oxide, we open up the blood vessels, we reduce inflammation, we enhance delivery of every nutrient, we basically improve exercise performance, we improve mitochondrial function, we improve stem cell function. So now when we implement exercise regimens or we take supplements, you get better delivery of this and you get better clinical outcomes from this. So again, nitric oxide is foundational, but you start with that and then integrate all these other modalities, then you've got the best of everything. The body, we have to give the body what it needs and the body heals itself.
I like that part about the body healing itself when it has what it needs. And we've learned so much about that from all the different perspectives here. And I think one of the biggest and most exciting takeaways here is that the science is saying the longevity future is now. Andrea, close us off with that view of how we know what to do now. It's here, it's accessible, the science. Give us that top level view.
Yes, so the science is really here, but for the listeners, our body is so beautiful. So get to know yourself and love yourself. Look at yourself, reflect. What are you doing at this moment in time? What would you like to achieve in 10, 20, and maybe 50 years of time? Because that really matters. What do you want to achieve in the future? Maybe you can change there with now to really follow a different trajectory. From a science perspective, we are there to help you. everybody in this room, everybody out there, because the science is there. We already can manipulate how animals are aging. We can make sure that, for example, mice live 30 or 50 or sometimes 100% longer. So we can manipulate our beautiful body. And we translated that into humans. So the science is ready for implementation. And it's about the mindset, how much you love yourself to invest in your body.
That's beautiful. I love that I come to you for the science and you give me the mindset. That is, of course, how we've organized the whole discussion we've had here. It is about that longevity mindset, realizing we don't have to get sick as we get old, and that the longer we stick around, the more technologies are there to help us stick around even longer. And we're going to close to hearing from you, Sharon, on behalf of yourself and Kevin, that message that you, as the participants, as the person just like the audience, what is that takeaway that you want them to know as we close off this first season of Reverse Longevity?
I want you to know what greatness we're sitting in here. I mean, the science, the knowledge, we're probably the only ones that don't have the PhD and the words before and after our names, other than Mr. and Mrs. And so it can be really complicated. I mean, I listen to you guys talk science and, I grasp some, but I don't need to know it because you guys are doing it for us. And thank you so much, you guys. It's just amazing learning. But to the regular audience, I'm going to say, you don't have to know what they know. You don't have to do everything at once. Just start. Just start. Start with your mindset, one thing at a time. Start with your nutrition. Just make a step. Just stop making excuses that you can't do this or I'm too old, because it's never too late. Just start.
I think that's a very fitting end. I don't have anything else to add to that. It's never too late to start. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this conversation. And we welcome the viewers on the other side to take that message away. It's never too late to start. Thank you, Sharon.
One of the key messages also is that we now, as researchers, are now coming together and we are working together to really solve this big problem of how can we age more healthily and gracefully. That's important. If we are looking at the aging trajectory, first we have to measure where we are in our trajectory, and there biomarkers of aging kick in. A year ago, we founded the Biomarkers of Aging Consortium, bringing all the experts around the world together to solve that problem. How can we determine how old somebody is and if an intervention really works? So this Biomarker of Aging Consortium really defines how can we measure the aging process, what is most validated, which means what kind of measures work, and what is in the end cost effective. Because in the end, it should not be for the richest to be much more healthier, but everybody should be able to use all the markers to test themselves. How do I age at this moment in time, and how can I intervene and make myself better?
Well, I think there's two people we're trying to reach. I think it's the people that have been sick and the current healthcare system has failed them, and now we can show them there is a new way. And then there's the people that are like us here, that are healthy and well and want to prevent getting sick. This information can certainly transform their lives and take the proper steps to where they can enjoy wellness, enjoy quality of life, enjoy longevity and experience longevity without ever experiencing chronic disease.
The depth of the initiatives that people can take on for themselves, from the starting point to someone who's maybe been doing this for 20 years, it's never ending. There's always something you can do more of, or something you can get more dialed in or more specific on. And that's really exciting because, well, it's two things. It can either be kind of scary, but it can also be really exciting because it's not just a one and done. Like, I just gotta do these basic things and I need to do that forever, and that's all I can do. You can essentially graduate to like the next level and the next level and the next level. And there's no end to that. I know we've shared in many of the talks that we're all learning and we all need to get the studies, and we still don't know many things. And that's great because that continues our education. It continues our hunt to find what the next elements of longevity are and how we can implement them.
Again, back to the mindset issue that Nick was emphasizing, and how powerful mindset is in our longevity journey and health and wellness, and that if we don't have the right mindset, many of the other lifestyle choices that we try and implement will fail, and lifestyle is so fundamental.
Well, Kevin, Sharon, your moment has arrived, your chariot awaits, and I take a lot of comfort in knowing how supported you are as you transition out of this moment and then back into life. How are you guys feeling as you step out the door?
Oh, completely overwhelmed, and I cannot believe this week went so fast. So much energy, so much everything, and I surely appreciate everything you did for us, Nick.
So fun.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's been my absolute pleasure. Kevin, sending you on your way with a lot of love,
Yeah.
a lot of hope for you,
Yes,
and a lot of
you
belief
too.
in you. A lot of belief in you.
Thanks a lot.
Same to you, we can hug.
You bet.
That's lovely.
Yes.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks, Nick.
You guys have a journey ahead, and I know you're ready for it.
We're ready, Nick.
You know, I'm sitting here in reflection, and we've had an incredible experience. And I'm taking this moment to be incredibly grateful for what we've created here. And I think that as an individual sitting in this position to host a docuseries like this one, and to be really living my own passion, making my own dream real, a dream of sharing this message of an exciting future of health with so many of the people at home. It's amazing that I'm emulating what I'm asking everyone to do. It's to find that strong sense of purpose, to build on a mindset of positivity, of taking on challenge, of having goals. This is one of mine happening right here, right now. And as I do that, I get to share it with so many amazing entrepreneurs, scientists, doctors, and our guests. And to reflect even further upon each of them, I find again more genuine gratitude. I think firstly of our guests, Kevin and Sharon, and how brave they've been to make this trip and to share vulnerably their experience, their motivations, their story. And then to watch them leave this set cheered on. I'm gonna get emotional. Cheered on by every one of us is so powerful. And I think that that tells you something about the longevity community. That's really important.
Well, Sharon, Kevin, great to see you guys again.
Good to see you.
I missed the days of being in Costa Rica with you.
Yes, I mean, it was an awesome experience, but everything that we learned there and from you guys has been totally life-changing. I mean, totally life-changing. I have so much energy in my body, and I'm younger. My skin is smoother. You know, I mean, everything that's changing is just remarkable.
So when we were there, we did the glycan age, the biological age testing. So that tells us kind of the health of your body and not your chronologic age, how many years on this earth, but like how well you're living essentially, right? And do you remember the results when we did that at that time in the beginning?
Yes, I do. On the show, it showed up that I was 75 years old.
And he was only 67.
Yeah.
Or 66.
Yeah. The time of the show, I was 66. And right now, my last results is showing me at 49.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this here, but it's just absolutely remarkable.
So I am 62 now, and mine showed 58 at the time. So I'm down another year. So I'm married to a younger man now.
Tell us a little bit about I'd love to hear about like what you've implemented in your lifestyle to get there, because you know it wasn't magic, right? You put in the work to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest start, well, when we went to Miami and did the whole thing with Cenogenics, it was just a wake-up call for both of us. I mean, I've done a lot of the things. He really didn't yet, but it was a wake-up call. But the hugest thing for everything was the HRT for me, the hormone replacement therapy, and then testosterone for him.
Right.
It was huge because I had so many things going on that I didn't realize had to do with hormones. I wasn't sleeping well. And Dr. Camper said right away, that's one of the things. We need to get you sleeping. I was getting up 5-6 times a night to go to the bathroom. I didn't realize that bladder urgency was a hormone thing. And after I started the hormones, I mean, 2 weeks, I was sleeping better. It's important stuff to talk about. We just, and honestly, our sex life is better. It didn't exist before hardly,
No,
but
not hardly at all.
it's an important thing to go into aging and be happy with your relationship and your body. So that's the biggest thing for me.
And actually, with me, it took me about 2 weeks on testosterone because I tested before we went down to see Dr. Camp or whatever, and I had no testosterone, basically none. And it took me about 2 weeks or whatever, and my energy level shot through the roof, my strength, my sleeping has been just phenomenal, where I just lay down, I'm gone.
Yes.
But as far as the energy level, whatever, that's right through the roof right now. I mean, actually, I've been probably walking 2 to 3 miles every single day. And it was right before this, it's like, oh God, I kind of have to work out to happen to be in shape, but it isn't like that anymore. I'm craving it now.
Mm-hmm. And he's lost 30 pounds since Costa Rica,
Yeah.
which is huge. He weighs less now than he did 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been incredible. He's got energy.
Everything. It's been.
We've been hiking, and we have, I've done a few half marathons since then, but we were in Florida and just had the best time walking the beaches. And
Well, Florida, I turned 67 years old, and it's every year in Florida, I always ride, like 66 miles last year. I rode 67 miles this year when I turned 67. It was the easiest 67 miles I rode in 20 years. I mean, it was just, the energy level was right there. I mean, the habits that I have been creating, and the food that I have been eating or whatever has been so much better quality food, and everything is just flourishing.
And Tamia and Dr. Camper have been rock stars to us. I mean, we're meeting weekly. At first, we were so nervous, and now we can't wait to see each other. So she's been amazing. We haven't always agreed on the food choices. We're farmers. We don't do plant-based stuff. We just don't. And it's actually been a really good change for us because he had gout for 10 years. I mean, it just was non-stopping. He just would have flares, and his feet were red and puffy. And now his feet are white and veiny. It's incredible, but it was getting rid of the plant oxalates that we figured out for him. So we've done a lot of self-educating because of Cenogenics. We have not always agreed on things with Dr. Camper with statins and things, and kind of went but he always made his recommendations and never, ever once made me feel stupid or like I was going against him or anything. He's been awesome. And to me, it's just really cool.
Yeah.
So
I gotta tell you, it's humbling for us. Like, we enjoy being a small part, and we're a small part. You guys are doing the heavy lifting, but we get to be a small part of this story, and just listening to the dramatic change in your life. I mean, these are two separate stories, two separate lives, and it's just amazing to hear.
It's amazing to live it. It's amazing to being able to sleep again, and just he wants to do stuff. And I mentioned rafting trip down the Grand Canyon that we're planning. And a year ago, he would have said no way. And now he's like, okay, let's do it, you know? So it's exciting.
And then it was about 2 weeks ago, Sharon wanted to do some landscaping, you know, and everything else. And, you know, she turned around and got some estimates, hire it all done, whatever. I go, you know what? I think we can be doing this. I could really use the exercise. And I mean, heck with it, we got everything looking beautiful.
We were doing farmer carries across the yard.
Yeah,
with our pails of rocks
and everything else is moving.
So we're like, Rudy would be proud of us. We're doing our farmer carries.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did it, and a lot of people our age wouldn't even consider doing it. So yeah.
Right.